Shabbat, Shalom, Kadushim, and other folks. I'm going to read this Torah portion for this Shabbat real quick before my battery and my phone runs out because it is only at 15%. We begin in Genesis or Bereshit, chapter 28, verse 10. And Yaakov went out from Ben-Ger-Shevang and went toward Haran. And he came upon a place and stopped over for the night, for the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of that place and put it at his head and lay down. And he lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed and saw a ladder set up on the earth, and its top reached to the heavens, and saw messengers of Elohim going up and coming down on it. And see, Yehovah stood above it and said, I am Yehovah, Elohim of Abraham, your father, and the Elohim of Yitzchak, the land on which you are lying, and I give to you and your seed. 14. And your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall break forth to the west and to the east and to the north and the south, and all the clans of the earth shall be blessed in you and in your seed. And see, I am with you, and shall guard you wherever you go, and shall bring you back to this land, for I am not going to leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you. And Yaakov awoke from his sleep and said, Truly Jehovah is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of Elohim, and this is the gate of the heavens. And Yaakov rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put at his head and set it up as a standing column and poured oil on top of it. And he called the name of that place Beit-El. However, the name of that city had been Luz previously. And Yaakov made a vow, saying, See, Elohim is with me, and has kept me in this way that I am going, and has given me bread to eat and a garment to put on. 21. When I have returned to my father's house in Shalom, and Yehovah has been my Elohim, then the stone which I have set as a standing column shall be Elohim's house, and of all that you give me I shall certainly give a tenth to you. 29. And Yaakov lifted up his feet and came to the land of the sons of the east. And he looked and saw a well in the field, and saw 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a large stone was on the well's mouth. Then all the flocks would be gathered there. Then they would roll a stone from the well's mouth, and water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the well's mouth. So Yaakov said to them, My brothers, where are you from? And they said, We are from Haran. And he said to them, Do you know Lavan, son of Nachor? And they said, We know him. So he said to them, Is he well? And they said, Well, and see, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. Shavang, and he said, See, it is still high day, not the time for the livestock to be gathered. They were together, water the sheep, and go and feed them. But they said, We are not allowed until all the flocks are gathered together, and they have rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we shall water the sheep. While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. And it came to be, when Yaakov saw Rachel, the daughter of Lavan, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Lavan, his mother's brother, that Yaakov went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Lavan, his mother's brother. And Yaakov kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice and wept. And when Yaakov told Rachel that he was her father's relative, and that he was Rivka's son, she ran and told her father. And it came to be, when Lavan heard the report about Yaakov, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him, and embraced him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house. Then he told Lavan all these matters. 14. And Lavan said to him, You are indeed my bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him for a new moon, or month. Then Lavan said to Yaakov, Because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for naught? Let me know, what should your wages be? And Lavan had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. And Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful of form and beautiful of appearance. And Yaakov loved Rachel, so he said, "Let me serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter." And Lavan said, "It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me." So Yaakov served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her. 21. Then Yaakov said to Lavan, "Give me my wife, for my days are completed, and let me go into her." And Lavan gathered all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to be in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to Yaakov, and he went into her. And Lavan gave his female servant Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a female servant. And in the morning it came to be that it was Leah. So he said to Lavan, "What is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served you? And why then have you deceived me?" And Lavan said, "It is not done this way in our place to give the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, then we give you this one too for the service which you shall serve with me still another 7 years." 28. And Yaakov did so and completed her week. Then he gave him his daughter Rachel too as wife. And Lavan gave his female servant Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a female servant. And he also went into Rachel, and he also loved Rachel more than Leah. And he served with Lavan still another 7 years. And Yehovah saw that Leah was unloved, and he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said, "For Yehovah hath looked on my affliction, because now my husband is going to love me." And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Because Yehovah has heard that I am unloved, he gave me this son too." And she called his name Shimon. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Now this time my husband is joined to me, because I have borne him 3 sons." So his name was called Lewi. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Now I praise Yehovah." So she called his name Yehudah, and she ceased bearing. And when Rachel saw that she bore Yaakov no children, Rachel envied her sister and said to Yaakov, "Give me children, or else I am going to die." And Jacob's displeasure burned against Rachel, and he said, "Am I in the place of Elohim, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb?" And she said, see my female servant Bilhah, go into her, and let her bear for me, and let me be built up from her as well." So she gave him Bilhah, her female servant, as wife, and Yaakov went into her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Yaakov a son. And Rachel said, "Elohim has rightly ruled my case, and has also heard my voice and given me a son." And so she called his name Don. And Rachel's female servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Yaakov a second son. And Rachel said, "With great wrestlings I have wrestled with my sister, and I have overcome." So she called his name Naphtali. And Leah saw that she had ceased bearing, and she took Zilpah, her female servant, and gave her to Yaakov as wife. And Leah's female servant Zilpah bore Yaakov a son. And Leah said, "Fortune come." So she called his name, and that's something I won't say because I heard that's the name of a pagan deity. That's what, and that's the same thing Christians call Elohim in English. And Leah's female servant, Zilpah, bore Yaakov a second son. And Leah said, I am happy, for the daughter shall call me happy. So she called his name Asher. 14. And Reuven went in the days of wheat harvest and found love apples, or mandrakes, in the field. And by the way, folks, I looked this word up, mandrakes. Here it says love apples, but in King James Version it says mandrakes. I looked these up, and it says these can increase fertility and sexual appetite and manly vigor, and also can cure cancer. And brought them to his mother Leah, and Rachel said to Leah, please give me some of your son's love apples. But she said to her, is it a small matter that you have taken away my husband? Would you take away my son's love apples too? And Rachel said, therefore let him lie with you tonight for your son's love apples. And when Yaakov came out of the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, do come in to me, for indeed I have hired you with my son's love apples. And he lay with her that night. And Elohim listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Yaakov a fifth son. And Leah said, Elohim has given me my hire, because I had given my female servant to my husband. So she called his name Yissaschar. And Leah conceived again and bore Yaakov a sixth son. And Leah said, Elohim has presented me with a good present. Now my husband is going to dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. So she called his name Zebulun, and afterwards she bore a daughter and called her name Dinah. And Elohim remembered Rachel, and Elohim listened to her and opened her womb. And she conceived and bore a son, and said, Elohim has taken away my reproach. So she called his name Yosef, and said, Yehovah has added to me another son. And it came to be, when Rachel had born Yosef, that Yaakov said to Lavan, send me on my way to go to my own place and to my land. Give my wives and my children for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you yourself know my service which I have done for you. And Lavan said to him, if I have found favor in your eyes, please stay, for I have diligently watched that Jehovah has blessed me for your sake. 28. And he said, name me your wages, and I give it. So he said to him, you know how I have served you, and how your livestock has been with me. For the little you had before I came has increased greatly, and Jehovah has blessed you since my coming. But now, when am I to provide for my own house too? And he said, what do I give you? And Yaakov said, give me naught. If you do this for me, I shall again feed and guard your flocks. Let me pass through all your flock today, remove from there all the speckled and spotted sheep, and all the black ones among the lambs, and the spotted and speckled among the goats. And these shall be my wages, and my righteousness shall answer for me in time to come. When you come concerning my wages, every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and black among the lambs, it is stolen, if it is with me. And Lavan said, see, let it be according to your word. 35. And on that day he set aside the male goats that were speckled and spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had some white in it, and all the black ones among the lambs, and gave them into the hand of his sons. And he put 3 days' journey between himself and Yaakov, and Yaakov fed the rest of Laban's flocks. And Yaakov took for himself rods of green poplar, and of the almond and chestnut trees, peeled white strips in them, and exposed the white which was in the rods. And he set the rods which he had peeled before the flocks in the gutters and the watering troughs where the flocks came to drink, and they conceived when they came to drink. So the flock conceived before the rods, and the flocks brought forth streaked, speckled, and spotted. And Yaakov separated the lambs and made the flocks face toward the streaked, and all the black in the flock of Lavan, but he put his own flocks by themselves, and did not put them with Laban's flock. And it came to be, whenever the strong ones of the flock conceived, that Yaakov placed the rods before the eyes of the flock in the gutter, so they would conceive among the rods. 42. But when the flocks were weak, he did not put them in. So the weak ones were Laban's, and the strong ones Jacob's. Thus the man increased very much, and had many flocks, and female and male servants, and camels and donkeys. And I believe it's talking about Yaakov there. And he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Yaakov has taken away all that was our father's, and from what belonged to our father he has made all this wealth. And Yaakov would look at the face of Lavan and see that it was not toward him as before. And Jehovah said to Yaakov, return to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I am with you. And Yaakov sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field to his flock, and said to them, I see your father's face, that it is not toward me as before, but the Elohim of my father has been with me. And you know that I have served your father with all my strength. Shavan, yet your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, but Elohim did not allow him to do evil to me. When he said this, the speckled are your wages, then all the flocks were speckled. And when he said this, the streaked are your wages, then all the flocks bore streaked. So Elohim has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. And it came to be at the time when the flock conceived that I lifted my eyes and looked in a dream and saw the rams which leaped upon the flocks were streaked, speckled, and mottled. And the messenger of Elohim spoke to me in a dream, saying, Yaakov, and I said, here I am. And he said, lift your eyes now and see all the rams which leap on the flocks are streaked, speckled, and mottled, for I have seen all that Lavan is doing to you. I am the El of Bethel, where you anointed the standing column and where you made a vow to me. Now rise up and get out of this land and return to the land of your relatives. 14. And Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, do we still have any portion or inheritance in our father's house? Are we not reckoned by him as strangers, for he has sold us and also entirely consumed our silver? For all the wealth which Elohim has taken from our father is ours and our children's. Now then, do whatever Elohim has told you. So Yaakov rose and put his sons and his wives on camels, and he drove off all his livestock and all his possessions which he had acquired, his property of the livestock which he had acquired in Padan Aram, to go to his father Yitzchak in the land of Canaan. And when Lavan had gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole the house idols that were her father's. And Yaakov deceived Lavan, the Aramean, because he did not inform him that he was about to flee. 21. And he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river and headed toward the mountains of Gad. And on the third day, Lavan was told that Yaakov had fled. Then he took his brothers with him and pursued him for 7 days' journey, and he overtook him in the mountains of Gad. But in a dream by night, Elohim came to Lavan the Aramean and said to him, "Guard yourself that you do not speak to Yaakov, either good or evil." Then Lavan overtook Yaakov. Now Yaakov had pitched his tent in the mountains, and Lavan with his brothers pitched in the mountains of Gad. Lavan said to Yaakov, "What have you done that you have deceived me and driven my daughters off like captives, taken with a sword? Why did you flee secretly and deceive me and not inform me? And I would have sent you away with joy and song, with tambourine and lyre. And you did not allow me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Now you have been foolish to do this. It is in the power of my hand to do evil to you. But the Elohim of your father spoke to me last night, saying, guard yourself that you do not speak to Yaakov, either good or evil. And now you have gone because you greatly long for your father's house. But why did you steal my mighty ones?" And Yaakov answered and said to Lavan, "Because I was afraid, for I said, lest you tear your daughters away from me. With whomever you find your mighty ones, do not let him live. In the presence of our brothers, see for yourself what is with me, and take it with you." For Yaakov did not know that Rachel had stolen them. And Lavan went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the tents of the two female servants, but he did not find them. And he came out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the house idols and put them in a camel's saddle and sat on them. And Lavan searched all about the tent, but did not find them. 35. And she said to her father, "Let it not displease my master that I am unable to rise before you, for the way of women is with me." And he searched, but did not find the house idols. And Yaakov was wroth and contended with Lavan. And Yaakov answered and said to Lavan, "What is my transgression? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? Now that you have searched all my goods, what have you found of all your household goods? Set it here before my brothers and your brothers, and let them decide between the two of us. These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried their young, and I have not eaten the rams of your sheep. That which was torn by beasts I did not bring to you. I myself bore the loss of it. You required it from my hand, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was, by day the heat consumed. Me in the frost by night, and my sleep fled from my eyes. Gotta move this. It's too hard to see. These 20 years I have been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. Unless the Elohim of my father, the Elohim of Avraham, and the fear of Yitzchak had been with me, you would now have sent me away empty-handed. Elohim has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rendered judgment last night." And Lavan answered and said to Yaakov, "These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and this flock is my flock, and all that you see is mine. But what shall I do today to these, my daughters or to their children, whom they have borne? And now come, let us make a covenant, you and I, and it shall be a witness between you and me. So Yaakov took a stone and set it up as a standing column. And Yaakov said to his brothers, gather stones, and they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there on the heap. And Lavan called it Yagar Zahaduta, but Yaakov called it Galad. And Lavan said, this heap is a witness between you and me today. That is why its name was called Galad. Also Mitzpach, because he said, let Yehovah watch between you and me when we are out of each other's sight. If you afflict my daughters, or if you take other wives besides my daughters, although no man is with us, see Elohim is witness between you and me. And Lavan said to Yaakov, see this heap and see the standing column which I have placed between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this standing column is a witness that I do not pass beyond this heap to you, and you do not pass beyond this heap and the standing column to me for evil. The Elohim of Avraham, the Elohim of Nahor, and the Elohim of their father.